Hi, I'm James, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be ranking the unique power cards in Spirit Island, looking at the base game and promo pack 1 spirits. So before I start, I'm just going to say that I'm going to be ranking all of these cards in the context of the spirit that it belongs to. So, maybe a card is not very powerful overall, but if it has, the right elements for that spirit, it could still score pretty highly compared to a card which is generally quite powerful but doesn't really fit into that spirit's toolkit very well. And this kind of assessment criteria I'm going to use is basically thinking about, how many times per game does the spirit want to play this card? If the spirit could, on turn 1, trade it away for a minor draft, so that would be drawing 4 cards and picking 1, how likely would they be to do that? And I'm just going to be sort of basing this on my experience and play style of the game, and I will be looking at the base version of each spirit rather than any aspects if they have any. So yeah, without further ado, let us begin. So the first spirit up is Lightning, and we have this Harbingers of the Lightning card. So this is a 0 cost fire air card, which I think is really good for Lightning because the most important thing for them is to play many cards, because I think their Thundering Destruction innate power needs, I think you need at least 3 fire to even hit the bottom tier of that. So you need to be able to play a lot of cards, which means you need on element cheap cards. I think Harbingers of the Lightning is one of Lightning's best cards. So I think I'm just going to put this in good starting card. I don't think it's probably good enough to be core to the strategy. In terms of the effect of the card, it is just pushing Dahan around, which isn't super important to what Lightning does, but is obviously, very good. Next up is Lightning's Boon. So this is going to be another fire air card, which is still relatively cheap, and it's, a really good card in multiplayer, allowing other spirits to basically speed up their powers, which I think when you pick Lightning in a multiplayer game, that is kind of one of the main things that you're thinking about getting when you're pairing with Lightning. So I would argue this is core to the strategy. This is the way that Lightning is supporting the team, and they will be playing this card almost every turn if they can. Now, Shatter Homesteads, we're now up to a 2 cost starting power. So obviously Lightning can make this fast, and it's a reliable town kill at the beginning of the game when usually the invaders have just got, an explorer and they've built a town in a land before they ravage. Lightning will play it a fair amount just while they try and build up that arsenal of lots of fire and air cards, because if they've got 4 card plays, I will come on to Raging Storm in a second, but they won't be able to afford to play this. So they're going to need to have at least 2 other fire cards before they're looking to trade this one out. So I think it's a tough call whether I want to put it in good starting card or play once or twice. I think I will lean slightly towards good starting card just because the effect of destroying a town is universally very beneficial. It even works into things like England where the towns have extra health. And lastly, Raging Storm. So 1 damage to each invader. They can make it fast with their special rule, and it costs 3 energy. Now, this card is still useful into France and Russia, but I just don't think Lightning would really want to have this card. I think they'd almost rather have any other card, or at least a draft for any other card if they could. And I think the benefit of basically getting to be able to play more cards sooner, because they have cards they can actually afford, would outweigh any benefit that this Raging Storm can bring. Now, I do love using it into France and especially Russia, but I think this is one of the cards that genuinely you might never play. So I will put it in might never play. So next up, we've got Rampant Green's power cards, which is starting with Fields Choked with Growth. So I mean, this is okay. It's got plant, it's got water. It's kind of on element for that defend innate, where I think you need 3 plant for the bottom tier and 1 water for defend 2. The effect is okay. Some Dahan movement, a town push. I wouldn't say it's really anything special though. Would they redraft this card if they could? At the beginning of the game, I mean, potentially I would actually redraft this card for something else. I mean, the fact that it's 0 cost, I think, is quite nice and on element. So maybe I'll put it in play once or twice, but we'll see how I feel about that at the end. Next up is Stem the Flow of Fresh Water, which I think is very similar. Normally this one you just couple it with your Moon Innate Creepers Tear into Mortar to deal some damage to buildings. It's quite nice because it's effective in mountains and sands where, you know, the spirit is usually stronger in jungle and wetlands, but I don't think it really does anything too special. I don't think you're really relying on it that much. Your power isn't really coming from this card, so I'll put it in play once or twice. I'd say I prefer this one to Field's Choke with growth overall. Next up is Gift of Proliferation. I mean, yeah, this is just obviously one of the best cards in the game, and it is also, you know, something that green wants to play all the time. So I'm going to put it in Game Warping. If they didn't have this card, it would just be a totally different game, and I don't have anything else to say beyond that. Finally, Overgrow in a Night. Now, this power card would be, you know, if other spirits had this power card, I think it would be very, very good actually. But on green, you know, adding a presence isn't really that impactful since you get to do it so often. So using a card play is a bit OTT really. It's nice for adding stuff into, you know, sands or mountains where it's harder to get presence and then skipping those builds or ravages. But, and yeah, it's on element, it's got moon plant, but it's not really that special. I think I think I'll put it as good starting card because I think getting the presence into the sands and mountains is quite impactful for this spirit. So I will put it there. Okay, so next up, Wildfire. We've got Flame's Fury. So target spirit gains 1 energy and does +1 damage with each damage power they use this turn. This is also a fire plant card, so perfectly on element. And yeah, Wildfire likes to self-target with this a lot because it is so important to getting, you know, they've got a very tight damage economy and they need as much as they can get, but can give it out to other spirits that deal damage, maybe someone like River with Flash Floods or the Innate. I think you pretty much want to be playing this card as much as you can. Obviously you don't reclaim a lot with Wildfire, but I would say it's pretty much core to the strategy. Wildfire would be in a lot of trouble without having this card, I think. So next up is Threatening Flames. Threatening Flames is a good card. It just suffers from the fact that it's 0 range and needs Blight and Invaders to target. So those are that's the same targeting requirements pretty much for Wildfire's innate power, Firestorm. So it doesn't really give you much power beyond the lands that you're already good at dealing with. Obviously, it means if they're really built up, you can make sure you clear them out. But I don't think this is actually an especially good card for Wildfire, other than the fact it is a 0 cost fire plant, which that in itself is really important. So for that, I can put it in good starting card. Asphyxiating Smoke. So this is the perfect element card for Wildfire. Fire, air, plant, 1 fear, destroy a town. And so this is something that can actually do damage at more than range 0, which is good, but it is quite expensive. Generally with Wildfire, you kind of either have to, on the first turn, gamble with gaining a new card to, you know, get something cheaper, or you have to not do that and, you know, do your energy growth so that you can afford to play Asphyxiating Smoke. I think Wildfire would kind of rather just have a cheaper solution, though I think because it's perfectly on element, it's still a card that you will see them play, you know, from time to time. But it is a little bit it's not super impactful, so I'm going to put it in play once or twice, but this could be a good starting card. And then Flash Fires. This does a damage. You can make it do another damage if you self-target with Flame's Fury, and then to air you can make it fast. So it's kind of like a little bit of a control tool. You can stop builds in, you know, adjacent lands where you don't have presence, but it's kind of expensive and it lacks the plant, which makes it, you know, not something you really want to play that much. Sometimes getting 3 plant would actually make you do more damage from your innate than actually choosing to play this additional card. So I think this is something Wildfire would rather kind of just redraft at the beginning and then have a different card to use. Cool. So on to Bringer. So Call on Midnight's Dream. I think this is probably Bringer's best power card. If the land has Dahan, gain a major power, and then if you forget it, gain energy equal to the Dahan. So you basically get lots of energy, and then you can immediately play this major power that you gain. I don't know if I can put it in. I mean, it's a weird one. I want to say it is kind of core to the strategy. It's something. It's really important that you do this at some point. Obviously, once you forget it, you're not playing it anymore. So I can't really say, oh yeah, this is such a good card, we're going to keep playing it. Compared to something like Lightning's Boon or Flame's Fury, I think will have more impact over the course of the game. But I think it is just good enough to be, yeah, it is still core to the strategy. So I will put Call of Midnight's Dream up there. Dreams of the Dahan. This is just, yeah, a nice setup card to get lots of Dahan into your lands for Call of Midnight's Dreams, and it's got Moon Air, which are 2 important elements for your innates. And it's very cheap, so I think for those reasons it is a good starting card, just because it couples well with Call on Midnight's Dream, so it's something Bringer would want to keep around. Dread Apparitions. So this one's a bit awkward to use. When powers generate fear in target land, defend 1 per fear, and then it gives you 1 fear. So you can sometimes use this with your innate to get maybe a defend 3, which, I mean, for 2 energy and kind of a bit of setup to generate fear in that target land is a bit awkward. I think Bringer would just rather have some different minor card which could also offer a defense or just deal some damage and play into its special rule of generating fear when invaders are destroyed. So I'm going to put this in Wood Redraft turn 1. And finally, Predatory Nightmares. So pretty basic 2-cost card. It just deals 2 damage in the slow phase, so you can kind of, you know, destroy a town, maybe stop a ravage. You might even forget it straight away for a major power. But you know, it's like kind of useful into some matchups, maybe into France. They're going to explore on the next turn. You can use this to kill both of those explorers to stop you getting into a bit of trouble. But beyond that, you kind of just need to be playing major powers. So I don't think you're going to play this more than once, really. So yeah, play once or twice. Okay, Thunder Speaker. I think these ones will be quite interesting. So Voice of Thunder, Sun, Air, no animal, which is always the kind of trap with this card. It's basically a massive Dahan movement card, which is really important for the spirit. Push up to 4 Dahan, and then gives you Sun, Air, which contributes towards, obviously, your Gather the Warriors innate, but doesn't activate it, which requires an animal. This is definitely at least a good starting card. Thunder Speaker is tight on energy, so 0 cost is actually really, really good. Is it going to be core to the strategy? I don't know. I think it's similar to Harbingers in that you'll play it a decent amount, but you know, you could live with some other cards. So next up is Words of Warning. So defend 3, during Ravage, Dahan in target land deal damage simultaneously with the invaders. I always wish this was a bit more than defend 3. Obviously you're a Dahan movement spirit, so if you have high defense, that would be immediately extremely powerful because you're always going to be getting those counter attacks. But this is definitely Thunder Speaker's most useful card. I think in the early game, you can normally just have one Ravage dealt with off the bat, and you only have to play this on the second turn. You know you've got that defense waiting. It's got the Sun Air and the Animal for activating the Gather the Warriors innate. So I'm just wondering if I should put core to the strategy, or is it just a good starting card? I think it is just a good starting card. You know, there's nothing particularly special about needing to play this, and I think that we're going to see a lot of these cards are going to end up in this tier if I'm not careful. So maybe I should think about splitting this one into 2. But yeah, let's maybe we'll do that now. So not like that. Let me add another tier. I'll call it great. How do I do this? Add row above, and then I'll call this one great starting card. Yeah, and I think both of these can go in there, to be honest. They are very good, and I think I'll put Harbingers in there as well. So what have we got next? We've got Sudden Ambush. I think this is Thunder Speaker's worst one. It's very expensive. It's their best way of killing explorers, given that their Lead the Furious Assault innate mainly deals with towns. But given that Spirit is quite tight on energy, I don't think they would really want to have this card if they could choose to redraft for something else. Lacking the Sun is also quite annoying because it doesn't help activate your Lead the Furious Assault innate. So I'll put in would redraft turn 1. Cool. And lastly, we've got Manifestation of Power and Glory. I think there's, this is an interesting one. I feel like some people think, this is too expensive. You don't want to play this too much. You should just be doing, Dahan movement and defend, or go for another major if you want. I think this is just a really good card. It's kind of like whatever problem you have, no matter how big it is, there's a really high chance that this is going to be able to kind of take it out for you, albeit in the slow phase, but it is basically powerful enough to do 16 damage if you've got 4 Dahan and 4 presence. So it really allows you to just solve all the little problems and then come back later and destroy the big lands with Manifestation. So this is going to go, is it going to go in core to the strategy? Do I think you have to play Manifest? That is a tough one. I think given that this is based on my play style, I think Manifestation is very important. I do like to let the lands build up, and I will come back for them with this card in particular, rather than going for a major. Cool, so Serpent is next, and we have Gift of Flowing Power. This is a really good card. I mean, gain an energy and then give another spirit another card play. That's really powerful. That's going to enable them to hit high tiers of their innates, which, we know how good getting higher tiers of the innate powers are. Unfortunately, the way I play Serpent is pretty much just absorb Essence and doing Elemental Ages to defend a whole bunch of lands, and you only have 2 card plays, so you don't really get to play any other cards. So because of those, I'm just going to put this in play once or twice. It's not actually very important to playing Serpent, I think. In solo, you can sort of self-target to use it a bit better to get an extra fire for some of your innates, but yeah. And it's a similar thing with Gift of the Primordial Deeps. I mean, I'm going to base this on multiplayer, but yeah, in solo, you can sometimes use this card to activate the second tier of your left innate, giving you that proliferation. But again, in multiplayer, in theory, I think this is a really good card. Maybe you can play it on turn 1 to kind of power up another spirit. But really, I don't think you're going to be playing it that much if you're me, because I'm going to be playing Absorb Essence and Elemental Aegis. So I will put this in play once or twice. So yeah, these cards are like examples of on another spirit, I think they would be phenomenal, but on Serpent, they're just not really the best cards. Elemental Aegis, I mean, this basically lets you defend an area of effect. So potentially you could even have like 3, maybe even 4 matching lands that are going to be ravaging that you're going to defend. And it usually scales quite well as the game goes on. You get defend 2 or 3 on the first couple of turns, and then, you know, later into the game you're getting 6 or 7 defense as the lands are getting built up. So I find it scales quite well. I think it's a really good card, and you know, given that I would be playing this card pretty much every turn, I have to put it in core to the strategy. And same thing with Absorb Essence, if not more, given you literally have to absorb other spirits so that you can get presence on your Deep Slumber track such that you are actually allowed to place more presence on the island. You literally cannot function without this card, so this has to go in core to the strategy. Cool. Okay. Now on to one of my favorite spirits, which is River Surges in Sunlight. And I think all of these cards will score pretty well. So we've got River's Bounty, gather up to 2 Dahan, add a Dahan, and gain an energy. So adding a Dahan is nice, but this spirit likes to play lots of cards because its innate power Massive Flooding is extremely powerful, wiping out a whole land. So the most important thing for them is getting lots of card plays and playing Sunwater cards. So because they want 5 card plays, they're not going to have much presence placed from the top track. They're not going to have much energy. So having a 0 cost card that gives them energy is amazing. And beyond that, it's got sun and water on it, which is also really important for hitting the Massive Flooding innate. So I think River would be extremely upset not to have this card. It's going in core to the strategy. Boon of Vigor, I mean, literally the same arguments apply to this, apart from it's really an amazing card. It can, you know, give out 4 or 5 energy, you know, 1 energy per card play to other spirits, which can make a complete difference to their game. You know, if you're paired up with someone like Lightning or Ocean, who just like to rush down the bottom track, this card is going to be incredible. And then, you know, coupling that with it being a 0 cost Sun Water card that River just literally wants to play, I think this is going in game warping because it's so good for River and it's just so good for the person who is on the receiving end of this energy as well. Wash Away. So this is the only one that doesn't have sun on it, so it's not as important for hitting the innate, but you know, you still need 4 water cards and it does have the earth on that Massive Flooding innate. But you know, Wash Away just couples with it really well, right? It's the whole game you're playing this pretty much, pushing pieces around, even on turns before you're hitting the top tier of Massive Flooding, chucking a whole bunch of towns and explorers into one land, and then later you're ready to come back and wipe them out with Massive Flooding. So it's pretty much setting up your whole game plan. Massive Flooding would be a lot worse if River did not have this card, this water card. So this is really important. It's also going in core to the strategy. And the last one for River is Flash Flood. So this is probably the most divisive. I think this is actually really important for River. It's a Sun Water card. You know, there's not that many Sun Water cards in the minor deck. I think, let's see if I can actually find a number. There's 13 Sun Water cards in the minor power deck out of 100. So if you want to hit the top tier of Massive Flooding anytime soon, and you're only going to have gained 1 power card by turn 3, I mean, okay, you could, I guess I'm saying like maybe you could gamble, chuck this one away and be given another power card that you pick. I don't think you'd want to risk not getting a Sun Water card, because then your whole game plan is just set back so much. I mean, not to mention, you know, it can kill a town in the fast phase. It has to be on the coast, but that in itself is really good. And it's actually what allows River to basically kill cities, because its innate does 2 damage to everything. Then you come in with Flash Floods. Well, technically this happens first in the fast phase, and you do that last point of damage to the cities. The downside is it costs 2, which is quite expensive, and well, it's kind of good that it runs in the fast phase if you're just using it to kill a town, but if you're comboing it with massive flooding, it can be a bit tricky. But I think a Sun Water card that actually does damage to sort of combo with your innate, that is extremely rare, I would say, and River would be pretty lost without this card as well. So I'm actually going to put this in core to the strategy. Now, someone whose unique cards might not score so well, on the other hand, is probably Earth. Earth's innate it's a good innate actually, but yeah, I think in multiplayer it is a lot better than in solo. So having the on element cards still kind of matters, but yeah, draw the Fruitful Earth. I mean, you get to move some Dahan, you get to move some explorers around. I think it's okay. I don't think you're going to be playing it a lot. And the main problem with Earth is you don't have any aggressive tools, so I don't think you're particularly in love with this card. I mean, I guess it can set Dahan up for a counter attack, so yeah, it's okay, but I'm pretty sure you'd be very happy to forget this card for something better, so I'll put in play once or twice. Guard the Healing Land, quite expensive. It is a nice defense card, so you could try and get counter attack. It removes Blight. It's got Earth on it, obviously. Well, Earth cards are expensive. It does generate a good amount of energy, so I think this one is kind of better because it has some aggression in the form of a counter attack. But I mean, would Earth rather just redraft this card straight away for something cheaper that could probably do a lot more? I would say it would. So I'm going to put in redraft turn 1. I was nearly putting in play once or twice, but the thought of just having a random minor power is a lot more tempting than having this card, to be honest. Similar thing with A Year of Perfect Stillness. This is quite good maybe into Sweden or Russia, where they've got some really heavy ravages that you just don't want to let run through. But yeah, it's not great. It doesn't even have the plant on it for the innate, so it's a bit awkward to use, and very expensive. So I would put in would redraft turn 1. Rituals of Destruction. 1 range from a sacred site, 2 damage, and then if target land has at least 3 Dahan, plus 3 damage and 2 fear. So none of the lands start with 3 Dahan in them. You would have to sort of manipulate that, maybe using Draw of the Fruitful Earth. But you might not want to, because you might be using this to disrupt some explorers or something like that. And I'm talking about base Earth, not Might Earth, which does kind of use this card a bit differently. It's got 5 elements on it, which is good, but it's very expensive. Like, it's a very expensive way to do 2 damage in the slow phase in a land that has the Dahan in it and is 1 range from a sacred site. I honestly never play this card. I mean, yeah, occasionally, but yeah, might never play it. So I'm putting it there with Raging Storm, and I definitely prefer Raging Storm, I think. Okay, nearly done. So Ocean, Call of the Deeps. So I think this is a decent card. I mean, it's cheap, so you can use it straight away. It gives you a bit of energy if you're not playing with too many other players, by drowning explorers. It's good for your fear innate, and you can disrupt maybe some inland explorers with it, depending on the adversary that you're playing against. So it's like, okay, I think I'll just put it in play once or twice though. I don't think it's that special. It doesn't have the Earth on it as well, which is what you get with your you need for your drowning innate. Swallow the Land Dwellers. I think this is a good card because it's 0 cost. and then Drowning Explorer and a town. So if you're playing, I don't know, something like Russia, where the explorers and the towns are both doing 2 damage, this is quite useful. It's going to give you a good amount of energy. It can sometimes be too drowny because you drown all this stuff at 0 range, and then it's got the water earth giving you your drowning innate even more. But I think it's a useful card for Ocean to have, so I'll put it in good starting card. Tidal Boon. This one's nice because it can give another spirit 2 energy, which can really affect their starting game. And then they can push a town, which might mean pushing that town into the ocean. I think Ocean wouldn't want to kind of redraft this on the first turn if they were given the option. I think this is definitely a good one for them to have. Is it great? I don't know. I think it is. I think it is a great starting card because it's going to power up other spirits, which is really important. So I'm going to put it in great starting card. And Grasping Tide, 2 fear, defend 4. Again, Ocean doesn't need as much help on the coast, which is the only place where you can use it, as it does inland, but that is also where its presence is going to be. So if it wants to be ambitious in moving presence onto the coast with the hope of drowning invaders, it's going to need to know that its presence will be protected. And that is what this card kind of ensures. So I think it's a good card for them to have. I don't think they would want to risk trading this away for something else. Am I going to put it in good starting card, or am I going to put it in, play once or twice? The 2 fear is pretty good. The moon and water are okay. I think it's a bit better. I probably would see it used more than all of these cards I'm seeing down here. So I'll put it in good starting card. And I feel like I'm being a bit harsh on this Call of the Deeps now, to be honest. But yeah, last spirit. So Shadows, and we have Concealing Shadows first up. 0 range, 1 fear. Dahan take no damage from ravaging invaders this turn. It's honestly a bit of a weird one because it's just admitting you're not a very good spirit. You're saying, okay, I can't actually defend anything. I'm also going to put my presence at 0 range and potentially lose it. Now, I know lots of I know base Shadows can obviously pay energy to, target lands with Dahan, so that's kind of how it's supposed to work. I mean, it's this card is Shadow's only real way of dealing lots of damage to the invaders. I think there are some boards where you can get some really nice Dahan counterattacks this way, where the Dahan are set up nicely. I don't think you can use it a lot of times, but yeah, it's like an okay card. Maybe I'll put it in. You probably can only play it, once or twice. That's the thing, because it's going to make Blight get added. So I will put it here, though. It does feel a bit better than this. Yeah. Crops Wither and Fade, 0 range, 2 fear, and you get to kind of downgrade something. It's got Moonfire, so kind of good for the innate. Not that Shadow's innate is anything particularly special, other than the fact that it's fast. So fast build disruption is good. I don't think this card's very important, really. I honestly would redraft turn 1. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the problem with Shadows. Its cards just aren't very good. So I would redraft this card turn 1. So I'm going to put it there. Mantle of Dread. Yeah, this one's very similar to Crops Wither and Fade because you have to target a land that has presence and push some stuff out, and is Moonfire and is slow. Again, I don't really like it. I don't think Shadows innate is particularly good, so I would risk redrafting this to get a better card that might actually do something. I mean, it's kind of a guaranteed way to actually stop a Ravage on turn 1, so I would really only play it once, though. No, I would redraft it. I would try and get something better. And lastly, we've got Favors Called Due. Gather up to 4 Dahan if invaders are present and Dahan now outnumber them, 3 fear. I think this is actually quite a good card, especially when you remember you're going to play Concealing Shadows pretty much straight after this. A lot of the Han movement, you can get a really good counter attack. I mean, yeah, if you actually have a defense card, then this is also going to be really nice and might give you a good chunk of fear as well. So I think this is actually a good starting card. It's probably my favorite out of Shadow's cards. So just to review everything, we've got, yeah, quite a lot going on. We've got only 2 in game warping. I think we've got, what, 9 in core to strategy. I think overall River definitely has, I'd say it's got the best unique cards for its kit. That doesn't mean River is the best spirit, you know. There's a lot more to what makes a spirit good than just its unique power cards. It's got its innate power, it's got its energy and presence tracks, its growth option, its special rule. But yeah, just looking at the unique power cards, I do think River has probably got the most, well, the best cards that it would never want to give up. And then, yeah, might never play. We've just got 2 down here with Rituals and Raging Storm. But yes, you know, let me know what you think of this tier list. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the choices I've made. I'm sure you will. And if you liked it, also let me know if you want to see me do something similar for the spirits in the other expansions, maybe Branch and Claw or Promo Pack 2, Jagged Earth. Just, yeah, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good day. Thanks for watching.